Chapter 2. We start off as we see the MC worrying as he thinks, why is he going through this when he just lent a friend 500 yen? As he thinks that he didn't expect his friend to be able to pay off a debt of only 500 yen. As he thinks this, suddenly someone whispers into his ears. We see that it's Akari. She asks him, what should she do after cleaning? As he gets flustered, he thinks that he never thought that his friend's sister would be living in his house today. She suddenly gets up as she gets an idea and says, that's it. I'd like to prepare dinner. I will go take a look at the fridge. Hearing this confuses the MC. As she bolts towards the fridge, he panics and tells her to wait a minute, but she doesn't listen. As she opens the fridge, she sees that there's almost nothing in the fridge. She looks confused and surprised by looking at this and asks him what does he usually eat. As he's embarrassed, he tells her that he usually buys lunch at a convenience store. She closes the fridge and says, I see. She suddenly looks stern as she says, I know it's sudden, but here's a quiz. What's the thing you are lacking the most in your diet? Hearing this makes him think hard as he mumbles, what's lacking? He gives a vague answer and says, veggies, I think. She makes a buzzer sound and tells him that he's wrong. As she says what the correct answer is, she suddenly locks fingers with him and says, it's the cooking of a girl. She pulls him as she says, let's go. He goes along with her as he asks, where? She smiles and says, of course, we're going to buy some ingredients. As she says that, we see them at a supermarket. As they are in the vegetables section, we see some people looking in awe. We see that they are looking at Akari. Akari looks smug as she has a shine in her eyes while saying, now, what shall I make? As Akari leads the way, the MC follows her with a cart, as he thinks that a beautiful girl in a rough outfit really stands out. Akari looks at some advertising goods and says that these vegetables are cheap. She quickly and swiftly picks the vegetables and puts them in the cart. Seeing this surprises him. He tells her that it seems like she's really used to this. Hearing this makes her happy as she giggles. She blushes as she tells him that during the elementary school graduation essay collection, she wrote that her future dream was to be a wife, so she's trying to be the best wife she can be. Hearing this surprises him. She continues and says that for her, the kitchen and supermarket is a battlefield. She imagines herself on the battlefield and says that this is a battle to attack the stomach of her senpai. She's going to blow a hole in his stomach. Hearing this scares the MC as he screams and tells her that it sounds dangerous. After they're done shopping, as they head out of the supermarket, Akari looks very pleased as she tells him to please be prepared for this. The MC sounds scared as he replies and tells her to please take it easy on him. Back at his place, we see that the time is 6:40 p.m. With lots of love and enthusiasm, Akari brings out the dish and says that this is specially made by her. It's tomato curry with lots of love. Seeing the dish makes the MC happy and surprised. She tells him to enjoy it before it gets cold as she smiles. He says, bon appetit, and digs in. As he scoops a spoonful and eats it, flavors explode in his mouth. As he feels like he's floating in flavor heaven, he thinks that the spicy taste of the spices and the flavor of the meat melting in his mouth, plus the sourness of the tomatoes with it, it's a perfect combination. With a very delighted and pleased expression, he tells her that it's very delicious. As Akari sits beside him, she looks anxious and says, really? Thank goodness. She smiles and says that she'll have some too, and eats a spoonful. As she munches on the food, she looks like a hamster in paradise. As she's eating, he looks at her and thinks that he was wondering what would happen when Subaru offered his sister as collateral for his debt. But it's a relief that Akari seems to be enjoying herself at least. He thinks that it's a mystery to him. The reason, why is this girl so willing to live in his house? He recalls what she previously said about her purpose and how she had to change for the future she desperately wanted to have. He wonders if she came here to learn how to be a bride on the excuse of paying off her brother's debts. She can't practice it with her family. Her brother's friend, which is himself, is completely harmless and trustworthy. As he smiles and thinks, what a wild imagination. As he's thinking this, Akari suddenly calls him. She tells him that there's a grain of rice on his mouth. As she says this, she gets real close to him and gets it. As she gets the grain of rice, he gets the tiniest, most glimpse of her cleavage and gets shocked and blushes. He wipes his sweat and apologizes to her. As he looks panicked, he thinks, whatever it is, I'm sure she trusts me. Don't let your impure thoughts deceive you. After finishing the meal, he thanks her for it. With a full belly, he plops onto his bed and says that this feeling is kind of strange. He never thought a day where Akari and him having dinner together would come. He continues and says that when they met in high school, they never talked at all, just greetings. Akari stutters and agrees with him. As she gets shy and blushes, she says, "But I always wanted a day like this." He couldn't hear her, so he calls her. She panics and tells him that it's nothing. As she panics, she runs to the kitchen with the dishes and tells him that she'll wash them. He tries to stop and tells her that he'll do the dishes, as she's already made dinner. She gets angry and tells him to just behave himself. She's just trying to show off her usefulness, so he shouldn't mind her. He awkwardly smiles. He goes closer to her as she's keeping the dishes in the sink. He smiles and says, "If I could eat such delicious food every day, I would be happy." Hearing this stops her in her tracks. She turns and looks at him as she's confused. She sees him as he's gently smiling at her and saying that he's sure that she'll be the best wife. Seeing him and hearing him say this catches her off guard, and she completely loses her strength. Seeing her fall down shocks the MC. He immediately goes to help her and asks her what's wrong and if she's okay. As she's trying to get up, she tells him that she's okay. Her hands just slipped. She tells him to not worry, and the plate isn't broken. He suddenly grabs her hand. He looks at it as he's worried and asks, "Really? You're not injured or something? Let me take a look." As he holds her hands, she starts blushing and breathing heavily. Her hands start shaking as they turn red. He gets more worried and tells her that her hands are really hot and asks her what's wrong. He looks at her and sees that she's crying real hard. Seeing her cry shocks him. He immediately lets her hand go and apologizes to her as he asks her if him suddenly grabbing her hand hurt her. With tears in her eyes and a smile on her face, she tells him that it's painful. Her heart was pounding so hard, like she's squeezing. He looks absolutely terrified as he says, "Myocardial infarction?" He immediately pulls out his phone and tries to call for an ambulance. She panics and stops him. She tells him that this is a different kind of disease. Her body is quite healthy. Hearing this confuses him. He asks her if she's okay. She tells him that she's okay and asks him if he can still give her first aid. He immediately tells her, "Of course, leave it to me." She shyly tells him to pat her on the head. Hearing this makes his head completely blank. As she sneakily tries to avoid eye contact, he awkwardly asks her if she's sure that that's the right thing to do. She tells him that it's the right thing to do and her brother always does this for her. Hearing this shocks him. As she stands there waiting for her pat, he looks flustered. He gives in and pats her head as he asks, "Like this?" As he's patting her head, she giggles to herself as she's in pure bliss. He looks confused as he asks her if it's effective. She replies and says, "Yes, I almost died." Suddenly she grabs his hand and puts it on her cheek and tells him that he's very warm. Seeing her do this catches him off guard. He backs away as he tells himself to not lose consciousness. With his voice trembling, he asks her if she has calmed down and if it's okay for him to stop. She tells him no, and that she still wants him to do more. Hearing this makes him lose his remaining composure. She makes a kissy face and tells him that she would feel a lot better if he could give her some artificial respiration. Hearing this shocks him. He asks her, "Is that what you did with Subaru?" As she still has her head in the clouds, she tells him, "Of course." Hearing this reply weirds the MC out. He backs up from her as he awkwardly laughs. She suddenly realizes what she just said and screams in shock. She gets embarrassed and tells him that it was a lie and she was just kidding. She doesn't kiss her brother. The MC avoids eye contact and tells her that it's okay and it's just a medical procedure, right? Seeing him behave like that makes her scream and say that he doesn't believe her. She covers her face as she's embarrassed and says that her girl power is gone as she got carried away. He smiles as he sees her like this. He suddenly bursts out laughing and tells her that he's not sure why, but he's relieved that she's doing well. Seeing him laugh makes her smile. She apologizes to him for troubling him. She tells him that she's all messed up with sweat and tears because of him. Hearing this shocks him as he says, "It's my fault?" She hesitantly asks him if she can use his bathroom. He tells her to go ahead. She thanks him and goes to the bathroom. He sits down on the floor as he says that he's very tired. Suddenly he smiles and says that he won. He overcame his temptations. Suddenly he realizes something. He thinks about the bathroom as he looks scared. He suddenly thinks that there's a girl taking a bath in his house. And this is how this chapter ends. Hope you all enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you.